What is philosophical theology? Well, if you remember, there are four main branches of theology. We have biblical theology, systematic theology, historical theology, and now philosophical theology. So, philosophical theology seeks to answer the question, how do logic and reasoning help us develop the doctrines that are taught in Scripture? So, philosophical theology uses philosophical reasoning to develop theology on the foundation of Scripture. So, one common objection that people will get when they use philosophical theology is that we are placing human reason above Scripture. And that is not at all what systematic theology does. Philosophical theology. That's not what philosophical theology is trying to do. Philosophical theology is using human reasoning to develop Scripture that's already based on the authority of Scripture. Not trying to add anything or change anything like that, but we'll get to that in a minute. But I want to just talk about a few of the dangers of philosophical theology and then a benefit of philosophical theology. So, a danger of philosophical theology is that we can rely too much on human reason. And that is one of the main criticisms of philosophical theology. So, it is a problem when when human reason becomes the foundation of theology, right? When we start basing our doctrine on human reasoning and human thoughts, then we have a problem. And a second, I'll answer that in a second, but a second danger to philosophical theology is that some worry that we can interpret Scripture through this kind of faulty pagan philosophy, right? We're going to take philosophy from Plato or Aristotle, and we're going to apply it to Scripture, and then we're going to come away with some kind of pagan understanding. And this guy named Tertullian in 200 AD, around that time, had that exact same thought. He said, "What indeed has Athens to do with Jerusalem? What concord is there between the academy and the church? What between heretics and Christians?" So basically, he's just asking, why would we use pagan philosophy when discussing divine revelation, right? They have nothing to do with each other. And once again, our foundation of theology and of doctrine is Scripture. So if philosophy becomes our new Bible, then our theology becomes erroneous because it's based on human reasoning and not God's revelation to us. Now, the Bible itself uses philosophy, right? It teaches philosophy. It requires philosophy. Millard Erickson, he wrote he wrote a lot, but he wrote this big systematic theology book. I can't remember the title of it. But he says that philosophy may do two things. It may supply content for theology. Well, more than two things. He says that philosophy may supply content for theology, defend theology, establish truth, and scrutinize arguments. So philosophy basically supplies content for theology. It's like a supplement, right? You can't change the theology based on what you gather from human reasoning, but it can supply more, it can clarify more, and you can use it to defend theology. Now, Erickson also says philosophy may not add to the teachings of the Bible or formulate new doctrines from those that are revealed by God. So if we're using theology or a philosophy to add things that the Bible doesn't teach, then we have to throw it out because we are basing our theology on the divine revelation. And like I've said several times already, is that philosophy is just a supplement, right? The whole goal of philosophy is just to gain a deeper understanding of Christian teaching, right? It's not to place human reasoning above the Bible, divine revelation. It's just a supplement. Now, there is a benefit. Well, there are several benefits to philosophical theology, but I'm just going to talk about one. And it's more of an apologetic reason, right? It is crucial. Philosophy is crucial to defend against attacks, right? So people, I'm not sure if you knew this, but people are actually attacking the Bible and they're attacking God. And we need philosophy to counter these attacks, right? Philosophy, for example, philosophy can defend the logical coherency of the Trinity, right? So you've got these Muslims coming up and saying that the Trinity is illogical, right? Because you've got three persons in one. Like, how does that make sense, right? So philosophy can show that the Trinity is not logically incoherent, right? So we base the idea of the Trinity on Scripture, on divine revelation, but we can use philosophy to show that this is not inconsistent with logic. And philosophy can also clarify significant theological topics, right? So such as the soul, right? Does the soul even exist? What about personhood? Now, personhood is a really big deal because when you talk about personhood, you get into abortion and IVF and euthanasia and all these things. And when is it okay to kill someone, right? If you come away with a wrong view of personhood, like there's this philosopher that wrote a book called Practical Ethics, Peter Singer. Peter Singer is a ethicist who wrote a book. Basically, in it, he makes the case that you can kill children up to 2 years old because they're not persons yet. And that's why we need good philosophy so we can counteract the bad, right? I kind of went off track there, but it kind of clarifies significant theological topics. So, kind of like how systematic theology takes all of these teachings of Scripture about one particular topic and then kind of lists it out and organizes it so that it's easier to consume. Philosophy is there to make things easier to understand, right? It can clarify things. Maybe there's some intellectual muddy water that can be fixed if we just use a little human reasoning. Now, we're not adding to the Bible, we're not adding to doctrine, but we are using philosophy, human reasoning, to kind of formulate these doctrines. Now, a suggested resource that I would like to give you guys is Stephen Davis's book, An Introduction to Christian Philosophical Theology. That's a great book. They are super clear when they're writing about this. It's great. I couldn't recommend it enough. So I would suggest go pick yourself up a copy of Stephen Davis's book and read it. And if you're a pro at philosophy already, go get William Lane Craig's Philosophical Systematic Theologies, which I haven't read because they're kind of out of my pay grade. But if you're a professional philosopher, go check those out. Until next time, this is Tactical Theology, and Lord willing, I'll see you in the next one. God bless.